The last species standing. Captain Sarah Chen stood at the viewing deck of the ESS Curiosity, watching as another dead world slowly rotated beneath them. This was the 17th supposedly advanced civilization they'd found reduced to nothing but elegant ruins and silent cities. The survey team's readings confirmed what they'd found everywhere else. No biological signatures, no active technology, no signs of recent habitation. "Captain, you need to see this." Dr. Marcus Rivera's voice crackled through her comm unit. The xenoarchaeologist had been leading the ground team investigating what appeared to be a central archive facility. "What have you found?" Sarah asked, already heading toward the shuttle bay. "Something different. This facility. It's still running." 20 minutes later, Sarah stood in a vast chamber that hummed with ancient but functional technology. Holographic displays flickered to life as they moved through the space, responding to their presence in a way they hadn't seen in any previous ruins. "The power system is elegant," Engineer Patel commented, scanning the walls with her instruments. "It's been running on geothermal energy for at least 10,000 years. Self-maintaining, self-repairing. These beings were far beyond us technologically. Then why aren't they here?" Sarah wondered aloud, approaching what appeared to be a central console. The answer came unexpectedly. As Sarah's hand brushed against the smooth surface of the console, the entire chamber transformed. They found themselves surrounded by a three-dimensional recording of an alien being. Tall, crystalline, with multiple limbs that seemed to shift and flow like liquid glass. To those who find this record, the being's thoughts translated directly into their minds. "We leave this warning and confession. We were the Lumini. And we, along with every other advanced species in this galaxy, chose extinction over what we perceived as regression." The team stood transfixed as the being explained. The Lumini had discovered that the galaxy was entering a region of space that would, over the course of several thousand years, gradually alter the fundamental constants that their technology relied upon. Their quantum computers would cease to function. Their matter transmitters would fail. Their artificial intelligences would collapse. "We calculated that survival would require abandoning 90% of our technology and returning to what we considered primitive methods of existence," the Lumini continued. "Rather than face such regression, most species chose to end their civilizations at their peak. Others attempted to enter suspended animation, waiting for our galaxy to pass through this region of space. A journey that would take nearly 50,000 years. Sarah felt a chill run down her spine. Humanity had never developed the ultra-advanced technology these species had relied upon. They'd stuck to what many would consider brute force solutions: chemical rockets enhanced with nuclear drives, biological computers working alongside digital systems, physical construction methods alongside limited matter printing. "Dr. Rivera," she called out, "what's the date on this recording?" He checked his instruments. "Approximately 48,000 years ago, Captain." The Lumini's final words seemed to echo through the chamber. "To any species that finds this record, if you have achieved interstellar travel without depending on quantum-based technologies, you may be able to survive where we could not. The galaxy is yours now. Learn from our hubris." Sarah looked at her team, a slow smile spreading across her face. "Well," she said, "I guess humans never got that memo about needing quantum computers and matter transmitters to explore space. We just kept building better chemical rockets and nuclear drives until they worked." "Should we tell them?" Engineer Patel asked, gesturing to her tablet showing a message from Earth Command. The first ships of returning alien species have been detected entering the galaxy's edge. They were emerging from their suspended animation, expecting to find an empty galaxy. "Oh yes," Sarah replied, already composing a welcome message in her mind. "I think it's time to show them how humanity's primitive solutions kept us going where their advanced technology failed, and maybe teach them that sometimes the simplest answer is the best one." The team began documenting everything they'd found, knowing that humanity's role in the galaxy was about to change dramatically. They hadn't just survived. They'd thrived, filling the galaxy with colonies and outposts, while using technology that their predecessors would have considered hopelessly primitive. As Sarah looked around the ancient archive, she couldn't help but laugh at the irony. Humanity had succeeded precisely because they'd never developed the technology that other species considered essential. Their inefficient and crude methods had turned out to be exactly what was needed to survive in this changed galaxy. "Send a message to command," she ordered. "Tell them we found out why we're alone in the galaxy, and let them know we're about to have company. Company that's going to need a lesson in the value of keeping things simple." The simple solution. The first meeting between humanity and the returning ancient species took place aboard the International Space Station Alpha, now serving as Earth's diplomatic hub. Dr. Elena Santos watched the Meridian delegation materialize from their quantum transport pods, their crystalline bodies refracting light in complex patterns that indicated their emotional state. Current readings suggested a mixture of confusion and distress. "Impossible," the lead Meridian, who called himself First Observer, declared upon seeing the station's systems. "Your technology, it's practically archaic. How are you maintaining orbital stability without quantum field generators?" Elena smiled, gesturing to the conventional thrusters visible through the observation window. "Newton's laws still work just fine. Chemical propulsion, enhanced with basic fusion drives. Simple, reliable, and most importantly, still functioning." The Meridian's color patterns shifted to deep indigo, their equivalent of disbelief. They had emerged from their 50,000-year suspension, expecting to find a dead or primitive galaxy. Instead, they found humans had established colonies across thousands of worlds. "But your computational systems," another Meridian interjected, examining a nearby console. "They're using binary processing, electronic circuits. How do you manage complex calculations without quantum coherence? Parallel processing, distributed networks, and yes, good old-fashioned binary," Elena explained. "We even still use mechanical backup systems for critical operations. Not as elegant as quantum computing, but it gets the job done. And unlike quantum systems, our computers weren't affected by the changes in space-time constants." The First Observer moved closer to the window, watching Earth rotate below. "Our simulations showed that space travel would be impossible without quantum tunneling drives. Yet you've colonized the galaxy using chemical propulsion." Elena pulled up a holographic display, notably powered by conventional light projection, rather than quantum entanglement. "We took a different approach. Instead of trying to bend space-time, we focused on making our ships more efficient and our journeys better planned. We use gravitational slingshots, solar sails, and fusion drives. A trip that might have taken your ships an instant takes us months or years. But we get there." "Years?" The Meridian's patterns shifted to a shocked yellow. "Your species travels for years between destinations. We adapt," Elena said simply. "We build ships like towns, with hydroponics, recycling systems, and rotating habitats for gravity. We live in space instead of trying to conquer it. While your civilization sought to master physics itself, we learned to work within its limits." The First Observer's crystalline form dimmed slightly, a sign of deep thought. "And your colonies? Without matter replication, how do you establish sustainable settlements?" Elena gestured to another display showing various human colonies. "We bring seeds, we bring tools, we bring knowledge. We build from local materials, establish farms, create closed-loop ecosystems. It's slower than materialization technology, but it's resilient. When the quantum fields began to fail, our colonies didn't even notice." "This is primitive," one of the Meridians stated, but their color patterns showed growing interest rather than disdain. "Primitive but practical," Elena corrected. "Your civilizations built amazing technologies, but they were like a house of cards. Pull out one fundamental force, and everything collapsed. We built our civilization like a pyramid, with each level supported by simple, reliable foundations." The First Observer turned to face Elena fully, their crystalline form now glowing with a warm orange, a sign of respect. Perhaps we have something to learn from your species. We assumed that advancement meant increasing complexity, but you've shown that there's wisdom in simplicity. Elena nodded, pulling up another display showing the spread of human colonies across the galaxy. We'd be happy to teach you. In return, we'd love to learn about your history, your culture, and your understanding of the universe. Maybe together we can find a balance between innovation and reliability. The Meridians gathered around the display, their patterns shifting to various shades of fascination, as Elena explained how humans had turned their limitations into advantages. They had developed redundant systems, mechanical backups, and solutions that worked with natural laws rather than trying to circumvent them. There's an old human saying, Elena told them. Necessity is the mother of invention. We never had the option of quantum tunneling or matter replication, so we had to find other ways. We had to be creative within our limitations. As the meeting continued, more displays showed human achievements. Cities built from local materials on distant worlds, ships that carried entire ecosystems between the stars, communication networks that used light and radio waves instead of quantum entanglement. Each primitive solution demonstrated how humanity had thrived precisely because they hadn't relied on technology that could fail. We would be honored, the first observer finally declared, their form glowing with multiple colors, to learn your ways. Perhaps in exchange, we can help refine your methods without sacrificing their reliability. Elena smiled, reaching out to shake the Meridian's crystalline appendage in the human gesture of agreement. Welcome to the galaxy as we know it. I think we're going to learn a lot from each other. The meeting marked the beginning of a new era, one where the returning ancient species would learn that sometimes the best solutions were the simplest ones, and humanity would gain access to knowledge, accumulated over millions of years of observation. Together, they would forge a path forward that balanced innovation with reliability, complexity with simplicity, and ambition with practicality. The survivors return. Commander James Rodriguez watched from the bridge of the ESS Prometheus as the massive Ark ship emerged from the depths of intergalactic space. Unlike the crystalline Meridians, these newcomers, the archivists, had preserved their original biological forms through their 50,000-year sleep. Their ship was a testament to their previous technological height. 20 kilometers of quantum-engineered alloys and reality warping fields, now running on auxiliary power and conventional engines. They're hailing us, Lieutenant Park announced from the communications station. Audio and visual. The main screen flickered to life, revealing a being that looked almost like a collection of floating geometric shapes arranged in a vaguely humanoid pattern. This is High Archivist X379 of the collective. We require assistance. James leaned forward in his chair. This is Commander Rodriguez of the Earth Space Service. We've been expecting you, High Archivist. How can we help? Our primary systems are failing. The High Archivist's shapes rearranged themselves in what the cultural database suggested was agitation. The quantum core is destabilizing. We have over 3 million of our people in suspension, and our backup systems can't maintain stasis for more than a few days. Understood, James replied, already signaling his engineering team. We've prepared for this. Request permission to dock and begin evacuation procedures. The High Archivist's form flickered. Evacuation. To where? Your vessel is. They paused, geometric patterns spinning rapidly. Primitive. You can't possibly have the capacity. James smiled. Look to your starboard side, High Archivist. As if on cue, the massive colony ship ESS Noah decloaked alongside the Prometheus. At 5 kilometers long, it was smaller than the Ark ship, but built with proven human engineering. No quantum fields, no reality manipulation, just reliable fusion power, rotating habitats, and enough space to house millions. Impossible, the High Archivist whispered. Our sensors didn't detect. How did you mask such a large vessel? Sometimes the old ways work best, James explained. We use metamaterials and heat sinks. Basic physics, No quantum mechanics required. Now shall we begin the transfer? Over the next several days, James watched as human and archivist crews worked together to evacuate the failing Ark ship. The archivists' initial disdain for human technology quickly turned to fascination as they witnessed its reliability and adaptability. "Your life support systems," one archivist engineer commented to Chief Engineer Martinez. "They're based on actual plant life, living organisms." Martinez nodded, showing them through the NOAA's massive hydroponic sections. Plants, algae, bacteria, a complete ecosystem. It's not as efficient as your atmospheric processors, but it's self-repairing and self-sustaining. Plus, she plucked a ripe tomato from a nearby vine. You get fresh food. The archivists were particularly amazed by the rotating habitats that provided gravity. "We used artificial gravity fields," their chief scientist explained, "but they required immense energy and complex quantum calculations. This is elegant in its simplicity." As the evacuation continued, James noticed something interesting happening. The archivists weren't just accepting human solutions, they were beginning to innovate with them. Their knowledge of advanced physics, combined with human practical engineering, was leading to unexpected breakthroughs. "Commander," High Archivist X-379 approached him on the observation deck, their geometric form now arranged in what James recognized as excitement. "We've been studying your fusion containment systems. With some modifications based on our understanding of plasma dynamics, we believe we can increase their efficiency by 300%. "Without using quantum mechanics?" James asked. "Without quantum mechanics," the High Archivist confirmed. "Your species' approach to technology. It's fascinating. You build from the ground up, ensuring each level is stable before adding complexity. We built from the top down, creating magnificent achievements that ultimately couldn't survive fundamental changes in physics." James watched as another group of archivists was revived from stasis, their geometric forms coalescing as they awakened to a very different galaxy than the one they left. "Your people seem to be adapting well." "We're scientists at heart," X-379 replied. "When faced with evidence, we adapt our theories. And the evidence of human achievement is compelling. You've colonized the galaxy without any of the technology we considered essential. It's forcing us to reconsider everything we thought we knew about progress." A junior officer interrupted them with an urgent report. The sensors had detected more ships emerging from intergalactic space, hundreds of them. More survivors were returning. "Well," James said, turning to the High Archivist, "looks like we're going to need more colony ships." "Perhaps," X-379 suggested, their form brightening. "We could assist in their construction. We have much to learn from your methods, but also much to contribute. Together, we might create something new. Technology that combines human reliability with our theoretical understanding." James nodded, watching as more ships appeared on the long-range scanners. The galaxy was about to become a very busy place again. But this time, it would be built on foundations that couldn't be shaken by changing physical constants or failing quantum fields. "Welcome home," he said to the High Archivist. "Let's show the others what humanity and the archivists can achieve together." The stars seemed to shine brighter as the NOAA's engines powered up, ready to welcome the next wave of returning civilizations to a galaxy that had been transformed by humanity's primitive but enduring approach to the challenges of space. Teaching the teachers. Dr. Maya Patel stood in the center of Innovation Hub 1, Earth's newest and largest research facility, surrounded by holographic displays showing the status of various joint human-alien projects. Around her, teams of humans worked alongside Meridians, archivists, and the recently returned synthetics. Beings of pure energy contained within specialized environmental suits. "Your species continues to surprise us," said synthetic lead researcher Echo 7, their containment suit glowing with patterns of blue light. "We spent millennia trying to overcome the laws of physics, while you simply learned to work with them." Maya adjusted one of the displays, showing their latest breakthrough. a hybrid propulsion system that combined human fusion technology with the synthetic's understanding of energy states. That's because we never had a choice. We had to make do with what we had. The display showed a test ship accelerating to unprecedented speeds without using any quantum mechanics or reality manipulation. It was elegant in its simplicity, a fusion reactor powering energy converters based on synthetic designs, all controlled by conventional computers running advanced algorithms developed by the archivists. The performance exceeds our old quantum drives, Echo 7 observed, and it's completely immune to spatial constant fluctuations. Sometimes the best path forward is to take a step back, Maya replied, moving to another display showing their latest colonial development project. Look at what we achieved with the Meridian's terraforming technology. The screen showed a barren planet being transformed, but not through the instant matter manipulation the Meridians once used. Instead, it displayed a carefully orchestrated process of atmospheric adjustment, seeding with engineered bacteria, and gradual introduction of plant life. It would take decades instead of days, but the result would be stable and self-sustaining. Dr. Patel, a young researcher, burst into the room, her excitement palpable. The test results from Project Genesis are in. It worked. Maya quickly pulled up the new data. Project Genesis was perhaps their most ambitious endeavor yet, an attempt to combine human biological engineering with the archivists' understanding of consciousness and the synthetic's energy manipulation techniques. The results showed success. They had created a new form of computer, one that used engineered organic tissue as its hardware and light-based information processing inspired by synthetic technology. It was slower than the quantum computers of old, but it was adaptable, self-repairing, and completely immune to spatial constant changes. Remarkable. Echo 7's containment suit pulsed with gold light, their species' expression of joy. We spent countless generations trying to perfect quantum computing, and the solution was in biological systems all along. Maya nodded, remembering the early days of the collaboration when the returning species had been skeptical of human primitive technology. Now, those same principles were revolutionizing their understanding of the universe. There's something happening in Lab 7 you need to see, she said, leading Echo 7 through the facility's corridors. They passed workshops where humans and aliens worked side by side, combining vastly different approaches to solve common problems. Lab 7 housed what might be their most important project yet. A team of human engineers and Meridian crystalline beings were working on a new type of starship hull. Instead of trying to resist the forces of space, it was designed to work with them. The hull adapts to spatial stress, Maya explained, showing Echo 7 the test results. It's based on the Meridian's crystalline structure combined with human metallurgy. No quantum fields, no force manipulation, just material science and smart design. And it's better than our old hulls, added First Observer, who had joined them in the lab. The Meridian's crystalline form glowed with pride. We used to force space to conform to our ships. Now our ships conform to space, and are stronger for it. Maya watched as the team conducted another stress test. The new hull material flexed and adapted, growing stronger under pressure instead of fighting against it. It was a perfect metaphor for what humanity had taught the returning species. Sometimes the best way to overcome a challenge was to work with it rather than against it. We're getting reports from the outer colonies, a technician announced. The new hybrid ships are performing beyond expectations. Travel times are down 60%, and reliability is at 99.9%. Echo 7's containment suit rippled with patterns of deep purple, their expression of profound realization. You humans have shown us that progress doesn't always mean increasing complexity. Sometimes it means finding the elegant simplicity within complexity. Maya smiled, remembering her grandmother's words about technology. If it's too complicated to fix, it's too complicated to rely on. That philosophy had served humanity well, and now it was helping to build a new era of galactic civilization. The next wave of returnees will be arriving soon, she said, checking the long-range sensors. They'll find a very different galaxy than the one they left, one where technology serves life, rather than the other way around. As if to emphasize her point, the displays showed dozens of new ships under construction in Earth's orbital shipyards. Each one represented a perfect blend of human practicality and alien knowledge, built to last and designed to adapt. They were creating something entirely new, a technological civilization that could endure any challenge the universe might present. The next frontier. Admiral Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the ESS Odyssey, Earth's most advanced exploration vessel, watching as the combined sensor data from 1,000 ships streamed across her display. After 5 years of collaboration between humans and the returned ancient species, they had discovered something unprecedented, something that would change their understanding of the galaxy forever. The pattern is undeniable, Dr. Rivera said, now sporting more gray in his hair than when they'd first discovered the Lumini archive. The spatial constant changes weren't random. They're part of a cycle. The massive holographic display showed their galaxy's path through space, now mapped with data from both human observations and the historical records of the returned species. The visualization showed waves of energy flowing through space like currents in an ocean. "It's beautiful," said High Archivist X379, their geometric form shifting in complex patterns. "We were so focused on fighting against these changes that we never saw the larger pattern. The galaxy isn't becoming uninhabitable. It's evolving." The combined research teams had discovered that the changes in spatial constants that had driven the ancient civilizations into exile were part of a natural cycle. Every 50,000 years, the galaxy passed through regions of space that altered its fundamental properties, like a living organism going through phases of growth. First observers' crystalline form sparkled with excitement. And look at the projections for the next phase. The constants aren't just returning to their previous state. They're shifting into something new entirely. Sarah watched as the simulation played forward. The next wave of changes would alter space-time in ways that would have destroyed both the quantum technology of the ancients and humanity's primitive solutions if they hadn't learned to adapt. That's why the simple solutions worked. Echo 7 added, their containment suit pulsing with revelation. Human technology wasn't just less vulnerable to the changes, it taught us how to adapt to them. And now we're ready for what comes next. Sarah finished. She brought up another display showing their latest achievement, a new form of spacecraft that could not only survive the coming changes, but actually draw power from them. The ship was a perfect fusion of all their civilization's knowledge. Its hull incorporated meridian crystalline structures and human materials science. Its computational systems combined archivist logic structures with human biological computing. Its power systems used synthetic energy manipulation principles alongside human fusion technology. The test flights are complete, Lieutenant Park reported. The new ships don't just survive in the high-energy regions, they thrive there. Energy efficiency is up 500%, and we're detecting possibilities for entirely new forms of faster-than-light travel. Sarah turned to face the assembled representatives of humanity and the returned species. "We're not just surviving anymore," she said. "We're on the verge of something unprecedented. The very changes that once drove you into exile are about to open up possibilities none of us imagined." The data showed what they had all suspected. The galaxy was entering a new phase of existence, one that would reshape the very nature of space-time. But unlike 50,000 years ago, they were ready for it. More than ready. They were poised to take advantage of it. "We've detected similar waves of change spreading out across other galaxies," Dr. Rivera added. "This isn't just about our galaxy. It's about the evolution of the universe itself." The Odyssey's sensors detected another ship approaching. This one massive, ancient, and barely functioning. More returnees emerging from their long exile. But unlike the first waves of returns, these newcomers wouldn't find a galaxy in crisis. They would find a thriving civilization ready to welcome them home and help them adapt to the new reality. "Prepare a welcome message," Sarah ordered and smiled. And make sure to mention that they're just in time for the most exciting discovery in the history of all our species. As the message was sent, she looked around at the bridge crew. Humans working seamlessly alongside beings of crystal, geometry, and pure energy. They had done more than just survive. They had learned from each other, adapted, and grown stronger together. You know what the real discovery was? She asked, watching as more ships began appearing on the long-range sensors. It wasn't that humans found a way to survive when ancient civilizations couldn't. It's that every species had part of the solution all along. We just needed to learn from each other. The Odyssey's engines hummed with power drawn from the very spatial changes that had once threatened civilization. Ahead of them lay not just a new chapter for their galaxy, but the beginning of an entirely new era of exploration and discovery. Send word to all colonies and outposts, Sarah commanded. Tell them that the next frontier isn't out there in space. It's in here. She tapped her temple, in our ability to adapt, to learn, and to grow together. As the message went out, the stars seemed to shine brighter, as if the galaxy itself was awakening to new possibilities. Humanity had not only survived, they had helped create something entirely new. A civilization that could face any change, adapt to any challenge, and turn obstacles into opportunities. The next wave of spatial changes was approaching, but this time, no one was running. This time, they were ready to embrace the change and see what new wonders it would bring. And they would face it together, as one united galactic civilization, built on the combined strengths of all its peoples.